Welcome to the Speaking Podcast. Oh, very interesting guest. And today he's just launched his 43rd book. I mean, I thought I'm good with 8 podcasts, but like 43 books, and I've written one, and I know the amount of time and effort it takes. So I take off my hat to you. So you're a prolific author of the Talisman series, best-selling Dissonance 6-book post-apocalyptic alien invasion saga, the Christian end times dystopian fiction saga, the End, the sci-fi thrillers Forecast, the Phoenix Experiment, the Slide, the children's books, the Ring of Truth, the Sword of Joy, and the Book of Power. And for those watching on BitChute, YouTube, and Rumble, and even Spotify, you can see he's got a fantastic background, and you see all the creative book covers that they've got. Yeah, I mean, I think I have to stop because you've got so many different ones. But Aaron, please welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I know I know it gets a little nauseating and dizzying because it's just stop with the litany of books, but I've got to keep churning them out. That's just me.
So I was looking, you've an interesting story how you kind of got into writing, because sometimes it's later on in life, but I think it's a beautiful that you kind of found your calling very early.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so funny because I was given a calling, you could say that. Everybody in Mrs. Walker's second grade class was given this calling of writing a book, a little mini novella. And so I wasn't an anomaly in any respect. I was just going with the flow. And, if you don't do the assignment, you get an F. But I wrote a little book called The Electric Boy, and college rule paper, 3-hole punch, construction paper front and back, and crude stick figure drawings. And I don't remember what grade I got it, but I do remember a light bulb watershed epiphany moment of holding it in my hands and going, wow, I mean, look, I made this, and it was just so cool. It was such an illuminating moment for me. And I look back now and go, of course I'm an author. There's other things that attest to that origin story, but of course I'm an author. I just took great pride in it from the very beginning.
And I don't suppose that you kept it, did you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you asked that because my mom did. My mom did, and she gave it to me. And she gave it to me in 2011, or rather, she gave it to my wife. As my wife and I were about to get married, she gave my wife a big album of memories of me growing up, newspaper articles, certificates of achievement, report cards, pictures. In there was The Electric Boy, and I don't know what I did with it. And it just kills me that I cannot find that because I would publish it straight away.
No, I'm sure you will find it when you're looking for something else. I'm sure it'll appear. So
Yes, I hope so. Knock on wood.
So I suppose, like, who inspires you? Because, like, you've got so many different ones, and it's not just kind of stuck to one topic. Like, you've got all different. Like, who's inspiring? Like, what kind of stuff are you looking at that you kind of get creative, or do you look at other people and just get creative yourself?
Yeah. Well, mainly it's this mean lady right here, Helen. No, I'm kidding. I get inspiration from my sons. They're very creative, particularly my 10-year-old. I get inspiration and encouragement from my wife. But really, honestly, the genesis of being a writer really comes from inspiration from J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. So big Lord of the Rings fan. This is not the One Ring. I just want to clarify. See, I'm still here, still here. Um, but I read that as a young man, and my mind was utterly blown. The world building is so exquisite. The work is so robust. The character development is out of this world, and it is so outlandishly rich and broad and deep. I love it. And so my mind was utterly blown from Lord of the Rings. But I'm more cinematically inspired than literarily inspired these days. So I'll watch something and I'll get these nuggets of ideas for something I could write. Case in point, Dissonance, the first volume of Dissonance, Reality, had its roots in us watching for the second time, I think, I Am Legend. And I Am Legend with Will Smith, it's a vaccine gone wrong. It produces rabies. Over, 80% or 90% of the world's population is turned into zombies. So in the opening of that movie is very cryptic and dark and mysterious, and weeds are growing up through the cracks and lions roaming the street. And I thought, Well, the precedent is a zombie apocalypse. What if mine was an alien invasion? And so that is where Dissonance was born.
No, brilliant, brilliant. And like, because, it's your full-time part, do you kind of set aside, okay, I'm going to be writing from this time to this time, or do you just when you get the feeling? What's your kind of structure?
Both, actually. I mean, you have to ride that wave of creativity because if inspiration strikes, man, you've got to take advantage of it right away. I have Pixar brain. I've got 9 and 6 year old or 10 and 6 year olds. I have Pixar brain. So that's what I remember. So anytime inspiration strikes for the grown-up stuff, I'd better log on right away. But I do have set times during the day. Um, Both careers of mine are very reactive. So as an author, I'm reactive to these creative peaks of inspiration that strike at unawares. And then as a voiceover artist, I am beholden to audition any given moment of the day when a mortgage paying audition comes in. I have to go, record that audition and send it to the client. And if I get awarded the job, then I've got to record it in a timely manner and send it to the client. So they're both very reactive, like a doctor with a pager. Do people still use pagers anymore? I don't know. But very reactive, and you have to ride both waves.
It's an interesting one, actually, because when you said about the pager, I'm just thinking, did I see a pager for a while? Like most of the younger kids wouldn't even know what a pager is, probably.
No, they would not. I just dated myself. Can you tell?
So, like, what about the creative side? Because as I was kind of doing the research and everything, sometimes you see a book cover and you kind of go, but yours are like, ooh, it's kind of like you've really beautiful covers. And how do you get into that? What's your kind of process for knowing what will work?
Oh, thank you. It's so funny because it's just so subjective. You like them, the next person doesn't. I posted Dissonance Volume 1 Reality, which is this one right here, which is Volume 1 in the series, this greenish one. I posted that on NetGalley recently. I've never done NetGalley, and NetGalley is a site where you can garner honest feedback of your books, usually before they're published. And people can vote on the cover. Well, right away I posted, right away I got a thumbs down, on the cover. And it's just like, really, you haven't even read the book yet. You have no idea. And that's clearly an alien. It's clearly about sci-fi. Um, you put it on another site. I forget the name of the site. I always do, but I posted it there, and many people said it's clearly about an alien and sci-fi. So you just can't please everyone. I do design my own covers for the most part now. Blood Echoes is my current work in progress. It's right here if I can point properly. And that one is I needed to outsource that to a site called Get Covers. They do great work. And so they designed the individual elements and then I put them all together and then, spiffed it up a little bit. So, but I love creating them, and you just try as hard as you can to differentiate yourself from the herd.
And I think in maybe 5 years' time, you'll have to have a magnifying glass because there'll be so many books behind you that they'll be tiny.
The funny thing is, I just revised this yesterday, so they were bigger yesterday morning, but I had to add Blood Echoes and Daggerfells, and over here in the middle column, far left, my right, whatever, is The Darkness Within. So I did have to add some more. They continue to shrink. I guess it's a good problem.
No, absolutely. And have you a kind of internal goal? All right, I want to get to at least 100, or I want to get, I mean, the fact that, you're still a young man and you've got like 43 is incredible, but have you a target that, oh, I can't wait till I hit, whether it's 50 or 100? I mean, 50 is going to be a nice sweet spot anyway, but what's your own kind of goals?
No, I'm not as young as I look. I may look young, but there are definitely grays in here. So I've got, I want to close in on 50. I'm publishing 42 and 43 today. And then I have a lineup, I think going up to 46 of my next 3 works planned. And that's the current work in progress and 2 beyond that. I want to hit 50 and then just, go from there, but I'd love to hit 100 someday. I am actually 53. 52. I'll be 53 in May. And so not quite as young as I look, but it's just one of those things where I latched onto my calling early on and then I forgot it. But I returned to my first love in 2017 partially and 2023 fully. So I'm trying to, I guess, make up for lost time, perhaps.
No, brilliant. And Are you self-publishing them all, or are you going the publisher route?
The traditional publisher route is enviable. If you can score a traditional publisher, great. I don't shoot for that each one because it's a tremendous trade-off. So with trad pubs, as they're called, you lose a lot. With an indie publishing mindset and approach, I get much quicker time to market. I can command higher royalties. I can choose my own editing and marketing teams. I can choose my own branding. I retain all rights to my product. I retain all creative control. The list goes on. There's so many pluses. For me, my love language is giving. My wife and my kids will tell you that every Christmas. And I love publishing a book and getting it out there and giving it to people. And the frustrating thing is that there's 50 or book what 40 what did I say 42 and 3 publishing today. If I was traditionally published, I'd be maybe half that because they'd still be waiting in the traditionally published system to be unleashed on the masses. And I just can't wait that long. I'm too impatient.
And the thing is, because I've read a few different books on the publishing and everything, and like what I've heard is sometimes the publisher can send, as you were saying, you have the rights. They can actually sell on books that they're kind of done with onto someone else, and usually they don't kind of contact the author because they don't want to be given the royalties, even though sometimes, I don't know whether it's a buck 50 cent, is like a lot of the times it's not great, and also they expect you to do all the marketing, whereas sometimes people think you come in and they'll do a load of it. So this, I mean, I know you have a book on that. So maybe kind of touch on the pros and cons, because, yeah, you'd hear of some stories where they get a big, check at the start, which is
Yeah.
everyone's dream. But I mean, that's like the Joe Rogans of podcasting. It's kind of rare.
It is rare. Yeah. Yeah. It's, well, there's so many incentives, like, in addition to the ones that I just listed. But yes, if you're talking about marketing, that's a huge issue and a huge specter for so many people. Ooh, no, I've got to market, and they're just scared. Um, Let me ask you this though. And I got some great advice from an author. I wish I could remember her name. She did a video. I watched it a year ago, and she said, if you want to get better at marketing, stop marketing. And you hear that and you go, huh? And it was, but then she clarified, instead, be an enthusiast. And it's so different. And it's so much more effective. People love to buy, they hate to be sold. No one wants to have their arm twisted into like, okay, okay, I'll buy your book. But if you're just simply enthusiastic, and why wouldn't you be? I'm going to hold this up for your audio listeners. This is a box set of my all-in-one Dissonance 6-book saga, and I made a box set of this, so it's all 6 books in one in a box set. I designed the whole thing. I love this. I love how this turned out. I love the story. I love the graphics. I love the packaging. I love everything about it. Why wouldn't I be enthusiastic about something that I love? So if you go to vendor markets or craft fairs or book fairs, or you're just out there in the wild and people, catch on that you're an author, why wouldn't you be naturally just so excited to talk about being an author and the work that you get to do? It's so exciting. So stop focusing on marketing and just focus on being enthusiastic about what you do. And then the chips will fall where they may after that.
And I'm just curious because I was looking at your website, seeing all the different things, and I saw you had like the box sets, but it was like the paperback. And if you had the hardcover, it was not a box set. So you had it really laid out exactly. There was no trickery. But I saw that as well, that you've got the whole combined. And I was like, ooh, because I couldn't see, maybe they do. I don't know, do publishers do that? But like, is there many people actually like to have the one big book like you've just shown us?
Oh, well, so I'm going to show you something that I rarely show people. This is an all-in-one Lord of the Rings commemorative edition book that I actually made. So I took all 3 books and I put it in one, and there's pictures from the movie, appropriate to the narrative, like that. And there's hidden sections and this and that. I like the all-in-one. I do like the box sets where it's all 3 individual. I like that too. But I do have people buying my all-in-ones, whether they're the hardcover all-in-one or the paperback box set all-in-one. And it's kind of like the Apple, Steve Jobs, well, he's deceased now, but Tim Cook's company, Apple philosophy. no one size fits all. You've got one person who wants this nice, big, never-ending story, big book. And then you've got the people who just want to handle one nugget at a time, and they can feel like they're making progress. And to each their own. So I like to meet everyone where they're at.
And I'm just curious about the actual text, because I'm not sure what you use, but I'm seeing some, especially, when they're bigger books, it's like 2 millimeter or something like that. And unfortunately, like I've had book, and I like that I can actually just sit and read. I don't know what size you use, but is there like, because I forwarded for a few people, because I've even had a book that was hardcovered, tiny writing, and I offered it to a few people, and it was kind of like Lord of the Rings kind of style, kind of that the guy had sent, and I just couldn't, and I wish I could, because
Yeah.
I don't know what way you do it and how other people find that. Is there something that you've kind of researched?
It's all formatting. I mean, it's trial and error. So you have to print out pages and see how they're going to look, and how, is this legible just in a simple print format, like such as I'm doing right now. And then you get a proof copy and you see if it turned out as well as you thought it did, and is it still legible. I will say that I have all-in-one hardcover versions. Those are the hardest ones because there's a page limitation. You can only do 550 pages through Kindle Direct Publishing. So with 550 pages, 6 books is going to need to be squished in there a bit more than 3 books, right? So the end, my Christian dystopian trilogy, 3 books, that fits in there just fine. It's Times New Roman 12. And I think the Dissonance saga, I think I did like 10.5 Times New Roman 10.5 with a bit wider margins and a bit of a decrease on line spacing, right? So it's just kind of trying to work the formatting a little bit and play with it so that it plays nicely with your page limitation. Trial and error. But now I do have versions that will suit everybody, and I love that. It took a while to get there, but I love it.
But like you mentioned, 12 and 10.5. So like I can print stuff at 10, even 9, and I can read it grand. It's okay. But
Yeah.
people are doing stuff, I don't know, is it 2 or 3, but it's like, I don't know. Does anybody actually like it? I'd have to have a magnifying glass. I don't wear glasses, but it's like, it's not comfortable. So like, I don't understand. Like, do they,
Right.
are they just trying to compress everything into it that they do that? What's their thought behind it? Because I can't imagine anybody actually enjoying when the text is magnifying style. Eh?
I can't either. I mean, and that's why you have to just really make it amenable to the reader. Ultimately, like, I read through an Aliens. I love the movie Aliens, 1986. Sigourney Weaver, favorite movie of all time. I'm sure it is yours as well.
Yes.
I love the movie. There's a book on it. I forget what the book's title is, but it is essentially a commemorative book that has all kinds of photos and behind the scenes and exposés and articles and interviews with the actors involved and the producer and the director. And golly, some of those pages, the font is really, really small, and you have to do a magnifying glass thing. I think that they've got, okay, we're gonna charge this much for the book. If we squish it down to this many pages, though, then our our cost of producing the book is this much, and here's our profit margin. And it's just, I think that there's some logic behind that on the commercial side of it, but I don't want to do that. No one will buy my book. I'm an indie author. No one will buy my book if I make it impossible to read. It doesn't work that way.
And I believe you do the audio yourself of all your books, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I have not recorded all of the nonfiction books, but I have recorded all of the fiction books. Um, I'm a voice actor. I absolutely detest doing audiobooks. They take way too long and they pay way too little. And there's one client that I like. I enjoy doing his work, self-help, very easy narration, very conversational. But I felt like at one point that if I hired someone to narrate my books, and I have several voice actor colleagues who are very competent, no one is going to love the story as much as me. No one's going to know the characters as much as me. No one's going to hear the story like I do. And so I I would be so remiss if I hired someone and they did my book or books a disservice by not narrating them properly. So I also love doing accents. So I can do several. I can do them very competently. I cannot do an Irish accent no matter how I try, but I can do Scottish, I can do British, Caribbean, Australian, Latino, New York, Deep South, and I love doing them. So when I have characters in my books that come from that ethnicity or that heritage, it's a true joy just to be able to narrate those and bring them to life. So not everyone can do that. So maybe I'm more of an anomaly there as well.
Oh, and I just because I remember when I wrote mine, like if I read someone's book, I spot errors constantly. My own, I didn't because I was reading it in my head, and I'm just curious when you are doing the audio, do you actually spot some errors?
Oh,
Because
yes. Yeah, that is the final step of my own personal proofing. I give it to an editor, of course, but you're absolutely spot on. You read slower than you read. You narrate slower than you read, I should say. So as I'm narrating, I want to bring the story to life and not rush through it. No one wants a book that's narrated like this because it's just going to go too fast. So I narrate slowly, and then you go, "Oh, wait, what?" And I can't believe I didn't catch that in my own read through. Right. So, yeah, I have to. That's another reason why I have to narrate my own audiobooks because I catch a ton of errors that lingered. A missing closed quotation mark, for example, or a double to. We went to the store. You just read over it faster than you narrate over it, so you can catch them.
has there ever been a situation where you kind of had a thought process and you decided to edit the book based on the audio as you're going through it?
No, because at that point it's pretty much set, and there usually are readers who have committed to it, and there's ARC readers as well, and beta readers who have gotten it before publishing. And so I would want their feedback too. And inadvertently, you can create a plot hole by adding something later because I'm no longer in the head space of writing and creating, and I may forget something. Um, the problem is there's two styles of writers. So one is a planner. They plan everything out, bullet points, flow charts, index cards, they're very organized. And then there's others who are more fly by the seat of their pants, organic style writing, and I'm the latter. I'm very organic of a writer. So I have painted myself into a corner, rarely, but I have done it when writing a book, and you have to control Z your way out of there, or command Z if you're on a Mac, and go, this doesn't work, and it's hard to destroy what you just wrote. But fortunately, it hasn't happened very often.
And with your two kids, I believe you said 6 and 10,
Yeah.
are they do they have what you kind of do? Did you ever try to get them to write a little book or get into this? Or
Oh, Brendan is the most creative. Brendan, our oldest, is the right brain creative, and Asher, our youngest, is the left brain intellect. They're both intellectual, they're both creative, but they're like this and like this. And so Brennan, man, little boy after my own heart, last year he created a monster saga. It was actually, no, I'm sorry, it was an alien invasion saga. And just like Daddy, he created his own alien invasion saga. It's all crudely put together, and unalignedly folded and really like Scotch tape overload. And he made a spine. He put a spine on it and these colorful drawings, and he made three of them, and he made a box set. I couldn't believe. I was just like, oh, buddy. It was so sweet and so cute. And he put it all together. So he inspires me. That kid is a dynamo, and he's going to make a lot of money someday for a creative agency. And I want some of it.
and just when you're in your own kind of zone when you're writing, do you ever have music, or do you need silence, or do you have to have kind of noise canceling earphones on?
No, I love hearing movie soundtracks. It's very exciting. It's very stimulating. So I'll play movie soundtracks as I write. There's a scene in Dissonance Volume 2 Reckoning that pays homage to uh, Feudal Escape by James Horner from the Aliens soundtrack. And they're in tanks on the highway, and they're desperately trying to reverse course because here comes this flood of Gorgons at them, and they're saying evasive, evasive. And I can hear it in my head as I'm writing, because I'm hearing through the speakers over here. I'm hearing these rich toms and military cadence drums, and that's so inspired me to write a better scene. So yeah, that does work.
No, brilliant. So maybe we just kind of touch on something. Like I saw one. Was it Forecast, the one with the towers?
Yeah.
Yeah, just yeah. What maybe what exactly you're covering in that? What's in it?
Yeah, I'm still impacted to this day, hugely so, by the heroism and the bravery of the fallen heroes and victims of 9/11. I always will be. I was a little distracted and going through a selfish process at the time when 9/11 happened. So it didn't quite impact me in the way that it, may have impacted some others. But 5 years later, I just remember I was ripe for impacting. And I wrote a multi-stanza poem called Whisper that was a tribute to the heroes and victims of 9/11. But I wasn't done. It turned into a song later, and it's beautiful, but I wasn't done. I'd always wanted to really provide a fantastical situation, a catharsis where you could effectively prevent 9/11 and save all those lives. It's impossible to do. You can't go back in time, but I wanted some, escape off ramp from a crazy reality that we live in, and allow people to read that and see a situation where 9/11 was actually prevented, and all those lives were saved. So it was very, very therapeutic to write that. And it was some of my best work because it goes from first person to third person and back to first person. And it's the same person narrating, um, or same person's viewpoint. There's also Easter eggs aplenty throughout the book, and if you follow those, you can see where it's going and what's being communicated to Roland Bishop, the protagonist, and you as you read. So some of my most challenging work, it turned out really, really well.
And what about feedback then from anyone that was affected by it? Because I mean, like the cover would grab people's attention.
Yeah, I've received. I just have to read the reviews for Forecast, which I rarely do. I try not to read reviews because you never know. You could write, the most stirring piece of fiction ever that is just a powerful piece of prose, and yet someone spilled milk on their suit. They're going to a meeting, and so they leave you a 1-star review. It has nothing to do with your book. Or your name is Aaron, and their ex-fiance cheated on them, and his name was Aaron, and so negative review. And it's just you can't hang your hat on those. They're largely biased. I do have some good reviews. I remember where people had said they were there when it happened, and so they'll never forget. And this, if only, people have said, if only, this existed. Um, but yeah, I think it's just such a polarizing topic still, and it's frustrating because you could join groups and you could see posts on Facebook about 9/11, and all the naysayers and the conspiracy theorists come out and they say that it was an inside job, and the floors pancaked on themselves in a controlled demolition, and it was a plot of the international Jews. And I'm like, dude, it's just people don't ever take things at face value. There has to be some kind of Illuminati behind everything, you know. So it's a polarizing topic still. So some people aren't ready to deal with 9/11 even 25 years later.
I think when you kind of touched on comments, because it's not just that book, but all, because it's the same with the podcasting. Because I tell people, I've seen people just stop podcasting, and I'm assuming it could happen to some authors as well, because people can be nasty, and if you don't take it in, it doesn't affect you. But unfortunately, same with reviews. I get some reviews on the Polish one. I mean, at one stage I had all fives, and then I just got some abusive ones, and I just look at it and I go, okay, there's something, you can't take it to heart. And what I tell people as well is look at all the beautiful comments instead of giving energy to the nasty ones. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, like 95% could say beautiful things about an author. And then you get the person, as you say, they just had a bad day. They stood on the cat and they just get angry and
Yeah.
they vent on you. And like, you can't take it. You can't take it. It only hurts if you take it in, and you have to be kind of. Then the fact that you said, yeah, I don't really look at them, because this time, when you see it, even me, I'm hard skinned, and sometimes it's like, ooh. You just look at some of them and you go, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but depending on where it is, I know in say Amazon or something, you can't, I don't know, I don't think you can report delete, but with a lot of the different things you can actually report. If it's on BitChute or something like that, you can delete it, report it, or, just
Yeah.
ignore it. But yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, you've probably seen that as well with some people that, because you'd have your circle of authors as well, and I know you coach people as well. There must be some people, they just, they're not as thick-skinned, and it gets deep within.
It does, and you're absolutely right. Is you have to have that spiritual fortitude. I always love telling the story. There was a plane in World War II called the Lucky Bill, and by all rights, it was just riddled with bullets as it was trying to deliver munitions or something. And there's no logical reason why it stayed in the sky. There was no reason why it should have stayed in the sky. But when it landed, they just determined that it had more structural fortitude or structural integrity than it had bullets to bring it down. That was their conclusion. And you have to develop that structural integrity as you're a creative. Authors, any kind of creatives, you have to develop that structural integrity. I was given a quote by a former voiceover casting agent, now entrepreneur, one time many years ago. And she said to me, someone's endorsement of you or lack thereof has very little to do with your trajectory. So their endorsement is a good review, or people buying your books, or you being invited to speak, or being singled out and hailed in some kind of networking group or encouraged, whatever. The alternative, the lack thereof, is crickets. You're not getting any of that. But none of that, it doesn't determine your trajectory. My trajectory as an author is forward, regardless of the haters, regardless of the good or bad reviews, regardless of the people buying the books or not. I have to create. I have to write. So it was a really inspiring quote that she gave me. I had to actually have her repeat it when she said it to me in the phone call, but it makes absolute sense. For a creative, it makes absolute sense.
It's like, I mean, I read it lately, not as much, but I usually read like say 100 books. But I don't go in and give reviews. I rarely give a review, and it's the same with the podcast, because sometimes people would think like, I don't think anyone's engaging, and I'd say, all right, you were on TikTok or you were on whatever social media platform, you look through 100 videos, how many did you like, and how many did you give a thumbs up to? And you just see their face going. So sometimes, even if they're not giving you a 5-star or a thumbs up, it doesn't mean that they thoroughly enjoyed it. It just means that you going out and giving someone a review isn't on the top of their mind. So, people kind of beat themselves up because of that as well.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. As a creative, you want people, you desperately, I'm going to add the word desperately, want people to receive and accept what you're creating and what you're offering out there. But a gift is still a gift, whether or not it's opened. You put it under the tree and it's still a gift. It means the world when they do open it and they do receive it and they do resound joy over it, but it's still a gift, whether or not they've decided to receive it yet. So, I don't know. There are times where I will, just out of curiosity, I'll take a peek, and some of the outlandish comments from people. I remember I got a review for the audiobook of the entire Dissonance series, because I offer that as an all-in-one in the audiobook format as well. And it's 51 hours of narration. And someone got hung up. They said it was overacting and there's too much religion and whatever. I'm a voice actor. I'm not going to read I'm not going to read the book in a straightforward fashion and monotone, drab, uninteresting narration. I'm going to bring the story to life, almost as if you were watching it on screen. And I'm the only person who can do it the right way because I'm the author. So it's really weird just to see people that impulsively, knee jerk, throw the baby out with the bathwater. And because I wrote it that way, and I know I'm a good writer, and I know I wrote it well, there's good nuggets in there that they landed on and probably overlooked. But the fact that they continue to overlook it and label it with a 1-star, like, man, you missed everything. You missed the point. I feel sorry for you. I really do.
The latest book that you've just released today, I mean, you might as well tell people, because let's try to get some momentum on that one. What's the name of it?
Yeah, it's the finale in a series called Talisman or The Talisman, and it's called Halcyon. Halcyon and its predecessor Nexus were the hardest books I have ever written. They absolutely stretched me. And I mean that, by the way. I was like, what am I even writing? I found myself in the multiverse and I had no idea I was even going there. So that's not what I planned. When I started Subterfuge, the first installment in the series, I wasn't heading for the multiverse. It just ended up there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm talking with aliens from this planet over here that's 33 light years away. And this one over here that's in the multiverse. And we don't have a name for this planet. And I have to come up with all these wacky, interstellar names and planet names and ship names. And it's like, oh my gosh. At the beginning of Subterfuge, he's crawling around in the mud on Earth as a sniper. And it went crazy. But it's got sorcery, it's got magic, it's got superheroes, it's got the multiverse. It exploded into an epic space opera, and absolutely stretched me and pushed me and grew me as an author. So 42 is Halcyon, the finale in the trilogy, and then the number 43 is the all-in-one version, paperback and hardcover. So you can order all three books in one.
And I mean, this is a difficult one because it's like asking your kids, but I can see you love both your kids equally, even though they've got they're different, which is strange because my brother were totally different as well. But
Yeah.
with 43, if you had to go, this is the one for my heart. If you had to just pick up one, what's your?
It's a tie. There are two. One is Forecast because it was just one of the most challenging, most beautiful, most therapeutic books I've ever written. But the End saga is near and dear to my heart. I love Dissonance. It's my first major work, and it turned into 6 books when I only planned to write one. It exploded into a hexalogy before I knew it. But the End is really near and dear to my heart. It's loaded with redemption and thematic depth, scripture, heart. You will cry. And I designed, the box set for this one as well. So I'm holding up the End box set. But this the third installment in here, Omega, is a powerhouse finale to the series. And I bawled at several points writing Omega. I bawled narrating it, and I bawled editing it, and I bawled narrating it. So it's a powerful series. I would just say it's a tie between the End, Omega, and Forecast.
Yeah, brilliant. And like you have 43 now, and I mean, I'm looking at them and it's incredible. Is there maybe any chance of a movie being from one, or is there any talks? But I presume that's the ultimate, that you get, and you get, director your own things there. Have you looked into that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, several times. So I've got multiple irons in that fire. So Volume 1 Reality, this green one right here, has been adapted for the screen. It's currently being pitched to streaming networks, and no one has said no yet. We have a 4th meeting coming up with a major studio, and I do mean major, who is genuinely considering Dissonance. And if they like 1, they're going to go with 2 and 3 and 4 and the 2 prequels over here. There's a lot of material and story to mine. So I'm so excited. That's every indie author's dream, is to see their book on screen. But in addition to that, the Forecast and the 9/11 historical fiction thriller and the End Volume 1 Alpha up here has been adapted for the screen as well. Those have been entered into film festivals. They've already garnered awards, many awards. And then I've got the Slide over here and the Phoenix Experiment over here, and those also are being adapted currently, and I'll enter those into the film festival circuit too. So at the film festivals, you can get a lot of exposure on your screenplay, and a producer can see that and go, no wonder this won an award. Or even if it didn't, this is a great screenplay and I want to produce this. So where's my wood? I want to knock on it. I'm seriously hoping.
Yeah, but because I mean, like, there's just momentum then will build from that with all the exposure, and just more and more will take, because people go, okay, we like his style, and this is yeah, so that's exciting
Yeah.
going forward. Yeah, no, brilliant. But just like finally, because with the shop you've got, as I mentioned, I went through. But I think did I see a pen? There's other things and posters. You might kind of touch on the different things here, because I was looking at some of them. I was like, okay, that's cool. QR code on the top and things like that.
Well, yeah, different swag. I actually did that by necessity because I was running a Kickstarter at one point for a very special collector's edition of Dissonance and the End. And so you want to add goodies, to each specific package. So whether it's a signed glossy or it's a pen with a statement on it, and the website, shamelessly emblazoned on the pen, or stickers or bumper stickers or t-shirts in different sizes and denominations. Yeah, I wanted to be able to provide that, and I do want to be able to provide that. That's the best form of marketing, when someone is out there using your pen, your bumper sticker, your t-shirt, and then you've got this guerrilla army of supporters out there sharing your work for you. Now excuse me, when I'm out in public, I've got vinyl lettering on the back window of my van. I wear shirts like this. I write Stuff Happens and Don't Annoy Me or You'll Be Killed Off in my next novel. I have shirts like that. And I love the conversation starters that they are, because people go, "Oh, are you an author?" And, "Why, yes, I am." You get to talk about your books and your passion. Why wouldn't you do that? It's all part of being an enthusiast.
I'm not sure if this exists or have you got it, but I know that for a lot of my businesses, I always had pins that you just stick on, a suit or whatever, and people would always go up to you and go, "What's that for?" So if there is one with a book, and it's not a t-shirt kind of event or something like that, have the book and you go, "What's that?" Because people will always come up with it with a pin and ask you why.
Yeah.
So it's always about giving you the elevator pitch without you coming along trying to, push what you're at without them asking.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, it's genius. It is one of those things where going the extra mile, and getting these things that can work for you, and you can share them with people. They're all conversation starters, and it's always funny because we talked earlier about the marketing aspect and people going, "Oh no, I got to market," and yeah, why wouldn't you? And there's so many creative ways that you can get your name and your book out there, and boy, do I take advantage of them, because right now, what pays our bills, what is our bread and butter, is voiceovers, voice acting. So essentially, I'm a voice actor who also does authoring, but that script is going to flip. I absolutely am sure of it. That's my trajectory, that quote earlier. That script will flip, and one day I'll be an author who also does voice acting.
No, brilliant. Listen, thoroughly enjoyed it, and I wish that you find that book. I think you look for something else that it'll just pop out, and I think it'd be nice to have it, and that'll be a good marketing one as well, to have the images of the book that you created when you were a child, and it'll be incredible.
Oh, man. Yeah, thank you so much. It burns my heart that I can't find that. I don't know what I would have done with it. And I've looked in all the usual places, so I have to look in the unusual ones now.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure it'll appear. But listen, thoroughly enjoyed it. You might let the listeners know where they can find you.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, so authoraaronryan.com. I always like to say, just be clear for the audio listeners. It's author Aaron Ryan, not awful Aaron Ryan. Totally different. Author Aaron Ryan. On a fluke, I did actually book that domain name once and made it just forward to my website, just in case. But authoraaronryan.com, and there's a Facebook group you can join. It's private and exclusive. It's authoraaronryangroup.com. There are giveaways, there's discount codes, there's news on the upcoming appearances that I have, there's news on the screenplays that I'm having adapted, and so on and so forth. So, and there's never any spam in that group. So there you go.
No, excellent. Yeah, I'll make sure I put all the links both on the audio and the video. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. So that's all for the Speaking Podcast. Find all our episodes on speakingpodcast.com, or scan the QR code, go to royalties.com. I'm like, with all the pointing, it's super. And you find the 8 podcasts at royalties.com. If you're looking for virtual assistants, go to va.world. Sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, maybe share with 3 friends. And when you check out Aaron's books, especially the new one, it'd be nice to kind of, check it out and give a 5-star rating. Don't step on the cat this time of the day. Write something nice, he'll see it. And until next week, take care.